Hello Libra, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for March for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you a broad overview of what the major strands are, but then I will dive deep to give you in much greater detail all the key dates and influences that impact on your sign in particular. Now, as this month begins, so the Sun is aligned to Jupiter. Jupiter's about growth, optimism, and crucially good luck. But the location that they're in, the 6th house, is also about our physicality. And you get a glorious opportunity on the back of the new moon of the 2nd, which embraces this Jupiter influence, to get a real uplift in your vitality across the first 9 days of the month. So that's something to really savour. Now, of course, your ruler is Venus, and Venus has been tracking through that 4th house that's been so controversial. And on the 3rd, Venus, Mars come into contact with Pluto. So something that's been in process for a very long time can reach a sweet point. You can really get a clear understanding of just how important something is. It may be about your family, it may be about where you live, it may be about something more emotional that's really unfolding inside of yourself, but in a positive way. But then on the 6th, Venus and Mars switch into the sign of Aquarius, which shares your air triplicity. So this is a glorious development. So I can't wait to tell you about that in particular. And then on the 20th, we have the spring equinox. We have the Sun traveling into your opposite sign, and that's wonderful for your relationships. Mercury speeding through 3 this month, Aquarius, Pisces, and then Aries on the 27th. So that's also going to aid communication as this month draws to a close. So an action-packed month to share with you, but there's more goodies in there that I need to expand upon. But if you are new to my channel, I'd be honoured if you would subscribe. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. Every time I share a video, you'll get an alert. Also, if you'd like to get your free daily written horoscope fired to your device each morning, you can do so by clicking on the subscription link underneath this video. I've been doing these for about 25 years, and it'd be great to have you with me. And also, if you'd like to ascend above Zodiac Astrology and embrace your birth chart, you can do so with my special package, which will give you a year's forecast, a character analysis, 30% off, but will help you to explore the interrelationship between the planet's movement in the sky now and those core influences when you were born. This is totally unique to you. No two charts are the same, and you can see the link below for more. So Libra, welcome to March, and as you come into this new month, yes, you have that glorious alliance between the Sun and Jupiter. Jupiter is the biggest planet outside the Sun, and it rules the sign of Sagittarius, which is your 3rd house, everyday communication, but also the 6th house, where we're of service, where we work, where we can be more self-sacrificing. Your generosity of spirit could be really boosted by Jupiter's close alignment to the Sun through the first 9 days. The key here, though, is not to promise more than you can realistically deliver. Not in any kind of sinister way. It's just that Jupiter and the Sun together is one of the most uplifting of all planetary influences, but it can trick us a little bit into thinking that everything's going to be amazing, and of course life in itself throws up those bumps in the road. You know, we don't have total control over the process, and by the time you get to the full moon of the 18th, well, that's pivoting on the psychological point in the axis, the 12th house. Ironically, Jupiter is still supportive, but it just shows that if you put a lot of physical energy and support into your working environment, into finding a new job, into making your life more productive and efficient, all very good stuff to do with Jupiter's support of the Sun, you just need to leave a bit for the inner part of your nature, which is the 12th house coming through the auspices of that full moon. Now, right at the start of this month, Mercury and Saturn are side by side in your 5th house of creativity, romance, highest wishes, joys of life. But there's not much joyful about Mercury in a combination with Saturn. But there is a lot of benefits, but we have to pivot. Joy in the 5th house can be a little bit hard to access with Saturn. But what Mercury and Saturn do here is make you more exacting about your talents. So if there's something that you need to be very precise around, or a conversation you need to have with a loved one, the chances are you're going to make your point very clearly. Now, by the 3rd, Venus, your ruler, Mars and Pluto all come into exact alignment. This is a very, very powerful influence. Now, of course, there's been quite a lot of debate about this whole 4th house journey you've been going through for some time. The great news is that on the 6th, Venus and Mars spring into the 5th house, and that's much more like it when it comes to having fun, enjoying the more slinky side of life, whether it's mixing and mingling, being playful, enjoying the more romantic dimension of your situation. But it's just asking you to consider the emotional base point around every avenue in your life. Venus pulls things to you. It gives you tremendous appreciation of presentation, of lovely stylized possessions and furniture and decorative order and clothes and all that kind of stuff. And Mars, of course, is much more about an instant desire, but in the 4th house can be a bit angry and a bit reactive. Venus softens that, but Pluto and Mars together can be quite warlike. So if there is somebody who's still not getting that you deserve the respect that you rightly should have, Venus just gives a little bit of delicacy to the process, but your willpower to assert yourself is going to be strong. But then you may just want to switch the moment, because on the 6th it really does get much more rock and roll, and why not? And we've all gone through 2 years of tremendous deprivation of pleasures, and if you are able to link with others, because there is a pushback in COVID where you are, you're going to want to do it on the back of these two travelling into Aquarius. Of course, Saturn's there, and initially Mercury, but these two can be very positive for you. They are both going to go into a conflict with Uranus, and this starts around about the 19th, but I think it's much stronger, not with your ruler Venus. I think it's much stronger with, which gives a liking of excitement. But the square between Uranus and Mars, which goes on from the 19th, from the 18th through to the 27th, that can be really caustic, very rough. But it could mean that you're going to be attracted to someone who really makes your pulse race. And the need to be mindful of your emotional needs could be thrown, the caution could be thrown to the wind if you're really wanting something much more exciting to come into your life. And there may be someone that you have a really raunchy interaction with across those period of days. But of course, if you go for that, which may be thoroughly enjoyable, and you're quite clear in both your terms of reference that this is for mutual fun, then the chances are this will be less hurtful to one of the two parties. If one of you has a different relationship to the relationship, that's what could be more problematic. In an existing relationship, I think you're yearning for a lot more excitement. So even if you feel quite safe and secure, if it's as dull as the proverbial ditch water, well, it's not really giving you the rock and roll at all. It's just giving you an existence with some companionship. But if it's not inspiring you, something deep within you can want some kind of challenge, and that could see you becoming a little bit less agreeable and a little bit more pointed and forceful in how you articulate your needs. But you know, that might not be a bad thing if someone still isn't getting that you are a cardinal sign and you must be respected for what you have to offer. Now, as I mentioned before, the full moon of the 18th is all about the more psychological side of life, the spiritual side of life, the hidden, the shadow. And it's just kind of saying to you, when we get a 6th, 12th house axis full moon, it can mean that there are people around you that don't have your best interests at heart. You know, the kind of fair weather friends, or the people who are very pleasant to your face and only too quick to see that knife glinting in the moonlight. You know, colleagues that haven't got your best interests at heart. So do watch your back a little bit, but Jupiter is still there, helpful, but it's saying don't be too helpful to others. You need to keep working at keeping those boundaries firm. And then on the 20th, we have the spring equinox. The sun pitches into your 7th house, which is all about the energy of your sign. So this can be a really productive month that begins. Now, Mercury started the month in that tight conjunction with Saturn. It moves on the 10th into the misty vibe of Pisces, which can be good for your working credentials and could see you retrain, could see you apply for a job. But then on the 27th, it catches up with the sun in the sign of Aries. I'm going to do a video on the descendant soon. I think a lot of YouTube astrologers particularly are totally focused on the ascendant. In fact, I think most of the people that tune into YouTube astrology really are very exercised by the ascendant. The ascendant is very Aries-like energy. What about the descendant, which is very Libran-like energy? So I'm going to do a big video soon, which I hope will be of interest to you. But you are someone who has the ability not to give away your power completely, but to be conscious of other people. It can make you a very skilled relator, very diplomatic, very encouraging to others. It's when these things are not recognised, and because Pluto's been in your 4th house of emotion, it's probably been around the family or very close relationships where there's been the turbulence since 2008. Now, because this month we have Uranus in the 8th house of devotion, quarrelling with Venus, your ruler, and Mars in the 5th house of passion and demonstrative and affection, that's kind of saying to you that you may want to have some fun and you may feel confident enough just to let go, to go with it. But ultimately, it all comes back to these base principles of needing to be respected, because you're such a giver. If people just take that for granted, you lose your sense of identity. So the 7th house is an important point to keep working at making sure that you're not just spending time being too much of a people pleaser, because it doesn't necessarily work. So it's about understanding which point to pivot on and saying, no, this is what I expect. I'm prepared to do this for you. I'm being reasonable, but I'm also letting you know what I won't accept. And that's what this spring equinox and the movement of Mercury and the sun into the sign of Aries are asking you to do in the latter part of this month. But if you're wanting to get fitter, you want to be more exercised, you want to work harder at your professional situation, and maybe make some changes even to your physical home, I think this can be a very, very positive month indeed. And in the latter part of the month, it's your relationships that really come to the centre of your celestial universe. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Libra. Thank you so much for joining me. Stay safe and take care, and goodbye.